So we return once again to our regularly scheduled schizo rambling disguised as legit game reviews to talk about a game that's been stuck in my mind ever since I played it a while ago. A game that I consider to be one of the best horror games released in recent years. A game from an existing series that up until this entry I thought was just okay. A game that I am desperately trying to find more vague descriptions of so I can draw out this introduction. On this episode of Wrong Thoughts, we'll be taking a look at Amnesia The Bunker. You may be asking why, since I've gained a reputation for talking about multiplayer games. Well, that's because I'm beginning to lose my mind trying to find new ways to say 4-player objective-based team-focused game. Also, my friends are playing Ark Survival Evolved, and I would rather transport my mind, body and soul into the events of this game than play that. As I've already stated, Amnesia The Bunker is the newest entry in the Amnesia series, a quite popular modern horror series. Its first entry, Amnesia The Dark Descent, popularised the Let's Play genre here on YouTube, with a lot of big YouTubers getting their start from that game. And while Dark Descent didn't create the subgenre of horror, which made players hide from enemies rather than confronting them, it did define and popularize it. But hey, I'm not judging. My favorite series, Resident Evil, did the exact same thing. Now, as I said, Dark Descent is genuinely well liked and is considered to be one of the most influential horror games of the modern era. However, the other games of the series haven't reached the same heights. The second game in the series, A Machine for Pigs, received mixed reviews. The third game, Rebirth, was genuinely more favored, but user reviews on Metacritic sit at mixed. I don't care what the Steam reviews say, it goes against my narrative. Checkmate, job havers. My honest opinion on Rebirth is that it was just fine. Despite having the scariest monster in the series, a woman, it overall wasn't that scary of a game, and it was nowhere near the heights of Dark Descent. My main complaint is that it felt like it was playing it too safe. On the other hand, The Bunker is not playing it safe. It seeks to evolve the series into something new, and it seeks to learn from the games that it itself inspired. And I think the result is easily the best game in the series. It has a bleak story, a terrifying antagonist, an oppressive atmosphere, and an ending that shows us that you don't need Lovecraftian horrors when the man-made ones are just as bad. Also, before I forget, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. So here is why you cannot escape the horror of Amnesia The Bunker. Now, at some point, I think all of you will have heard the name H.P. Lovecraft. Even if you've never read any of his short stories, you have probably consumed some form of media that was in some way inspired by his work. Or you've seen a meme regarding his thoughts on certain groups of people. I mean, he wouldn't describe them as people. H.P. Lovecraft taught me that there are levels to being a racist. Yes, he did actually give his cat that name. That's not something that the internet made up. One of the works inspired by Lovecraft was, of course, Amnesia. Lovecraft is not just cosmic gods and tentacle porn. It's about the insignificance of humanity when faced with forces and entities that go beyond our comprehension. On the surface, The Bunker may not seem that Lovecraftian. It's not very gothic, and the singular monster in the game isn't some unexplainable horror. It's just a monster. Granted, a monster that can't be killed and came out of nowhere, but still just a monster. Well, that's where I disagree. While it may not resemble anything out of Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, Lovecraft wrote other stories outside of that, and I would actually argue that the premise of The Bunker is inspired by the original Lovecraftian story. The Beast in the Cave is the third story Lovecraft ever published, featuring in the pulp magazine The Vagrant in June of 1918. However, he wrote this one first. The first draft was written in 1904 and the final draft was completed in 1905. He wrote other stories before this one in his youth, but those were published after his death. I don't care about those ones because it goes against my narrative. The Beast in the Cave follows an unnamed protagonist who is part of a guided tour of Mammoth Cave, a real cave in Kentucky. The story opens with the protag realizing that he is lost after splitting from the tour group. As desperation begins to set in, he cries out in hope that his group will hear him. However, he attracts the attention of something else. Footsteps approach him. At first, he's relieved until he notices something off about the footsteps. They are soft and quiet, resembling a cat rather than a man. And then he listens closer and he notices that whatever is approaching him sounds like it's approaching on 4 legs instead of 2. He quickly hides, realizing that he's attracted the attention of a monster, and decides to defend himself. He begins throwing limestone rocks at the beast, the first one missing, but the second one wounding the creature. Prior to this moment, the protag has been interested in examining the beast, but the knowledge that he wounded the creature instead of killing it causes him to flee. By sheer luck, he finds the tour guide, who has returned to look for him, and emboldened by companionship, the protag returns to examine the beast, and what he discovers horrifies him. I'm just going to read the last couple of sentences from the story. As we gazed upon the uncanny sight presented to our vision, the thick lips opened and several sounds issued from them, after which the thing relaxed in death. The guide clutched my coat sleeve and trembled so violently that the light shook fitfully, casting weird moving shadows on the walls around us. I made no motion, but stood rigidly still, my horrified eyes fixed upon the floor ahead. Then fear left, and wonder, awe, compassion, and reverence succeeded in its place, for the sounds uttered by the stricken figure that lay stretched out on the limestone had told us the awesome truth. The creature I had killed, the strange beast of the unfathomed cave, was, or had at one time been, a man. So what can we gather from this story? Well, firstly, that cave divers with a loving family will go to any cave regardless of what's in it. But in regard to the bunker, there are a lot of parallels. Firstly, the setting of the cramped, claustrophobic environment underground, the darkness of the setting as well. In the story, the protag has to discern what's going on by what he hears. Darkness is a big thing in Lovecraftian stories because it enforces that fear of the unknown. In the bunker, the beast becomes more active in the dark, and you will hear it before you see it. And when it eventually does come out into the light sources will short circuit, making it hard to get a glimpse of the creature. The creature in the story shares two big parallels. They are both referred to as the beast, and at the end of the stories it's revealed that they were once men who underwent some kind of horrible transformation. I just thought this was a really cool observation and I just wanted to share it. I'm a very big fan of Lovecraftian horror. I think it's very different to any kind of horror I've read. My favourite pre-Cthulhu mythos story from Lovecraft is probably The Alchemist, which was the first story he ever published. On its own, it's a okay story, but with the context of what he wrote later, it becomes an unintentional subversion of his own brand of horror. What's your favourite Lovecraftian story? Leave it down in the comments and I'll internally judge you. My personal favourite is The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. Amnesia the Bunker is set in 1916 during the First World War. We play as Henri Clement, a French soldier deployed on the Western Front. After surviving an injury trying to save our fellow soldier and friend Augustin Lambert, we wake up with a case of amnesia, not remembering any of the prior events except the instance of how we were injured. Now, in previous games, the protagonist having amnesia served to cover up some form of story element that recontextualized what was going on, whether it be the fact that we murdered our kids, like in A Machine for Pigs, or in Amnesia Justine, where it's revealed that we are the serial killer that we've heard so much about. Spoilers for games that are over 10 years old, by the way. In the bunker, there is no massive plot twist that the amnesia hides from us. Our character having amnesia serves as a storytelling device, meaning that we learn things at the same pace as Henry. Anyway, upon waking up, Henry discovers that the bunker is deserted. All the soldiers have either fled or are dead, killed off by a mysterious creature that lurks in the walls of the bunker. The soldiers that fled have blocked the only exit by blowing it with dynamite. Just like my 4-year-old son blocking the way to the fridge when I go to grab a beer, this is the only thing blocking us from our goal. We must locate some more dynamite and a detonator. However, to do so, we must navigate the various sections of the bunker and overcome the unique challenges that each section presents. On top of that, the mysterious creature dubbed the Beast stalks the bunker, waiting for darkness to come so that it can hunt us. But more about the Beast and the generator when we get to them. The gameplay of the bunker is an evolution of previous Amnesia games. Like in previous games, we are given a handheld light source, this time in the form of a wind-up flashlight. This strikes a balance between a permanent and temporary light source. We don't require fuel or matches to light it like in Dark Descent and Rebirth, but it does need winding up or else it will go out. The issue being that this creates noise, which runs the risk of alerting the Beast to our presence. Worry not, you don't need the flashlight. Welcome to my life hacks. Now watch as I make the flashlight obsolete with one simple trick. However, the flashlight is not our only source of light. It's not even our main source. Near the entrance to the bunker is the administration room, which also serves as the generator room, and we must keep the generator running as the Beast becomes more active in the dark. This is for all my baby girls. I see your comments, ladies, and they make me smile. I'm lurking and I'm stalking when you least expect it. I want to make a little amendment here to the script. The game is already scary with the lights turned on. I struggle to play this game when the generator shuts off. I'm playing Amnesia The Bunker.
I see that. Are you winning?
Oof. So while exploring the bunker for the items we need, we must also look for fuel to keep the generator running, which adds a risk versus reward element to the game, which raises the tension. Do I risk exploring a room for the chance of finding fuel or some other useful item, or do I move on to a new area which has a higher chance of giving me fuel? Likewise, I just acquired a new item that will let me explore rooms in previous areas which were blocked off previously, but do I want to spend time and fuel looking through those areas? But fuel isn't just used for the generators, no sir. Certain corridors are blocked off by rats chewing on the bodies of our dead comrades, and the only way to get rid of them permanently is to burn the bodies, like I burnt my collection of Gorgura merch after she retired. And you need fuel to do that. Which causes you to consider, should I use this fuel I have in my inventory to clear the rats and risk the generator running longer without a top up? Also, we have a gun now. We get it from another soldier just before he's dragged off to Brazil. I'll talk about the gun a bit more later, but right now I'll say this. You know how in Resident Evil you need to conserve ammo because the game has limited ammo drops, so you've got to think before you shoot? The bunker makes Resident Evil look excessive with the ammo it gives you. We're given a revolver, so obviously we can hold 6 rounds. There was not a single point in my 3 playthroughs of this game where the cylinder was filled with 6 rounds. I didn't plug the holes. This means that you can't go around mag dumping at every single noise you hear in the dark. You'll mainly be using the gun to open locks, and in the worst case scenario, scaring off the beast if you're backed into a corner. Previous Amnesia games had puzzles. This game somewhat does away with that and allows a more free-form way of removing obstacles. If there's a locked door in your way, you can probably break it down or blast it open with a shotgun or grenade. The best way to describe it, if you think you can do it, you probably can. Oh cool, so instead of fighting the beast, can I... No. What the fuck? There's also the safe room. I love safe rooms in video games, and not just because I'm a massive pussy. I like the inclusion of safe rooms, as I think they add to the horror. They allow a player breathing space, so they don't get overwhelmed and quit the game. But at the end of the day, the player needs to make the conscious decision to leave the safe room, and that adds to the horror knowing that you have to put yourself in danger to progress. The beast is an AI-driven monster. It's a fucking clanker. Get that clanker bitch out of my game! Meaning that it'll react and adapt to what you do. Are you sprinting down a corridor? Then the beast will hide just ahead, waiting to grab you as you run by. Are you making too much noise in an area and the beast has had to reveal itself several times in search for you? Then when it returns to the walls, it'll stay just by the hole. Fuck's sake, did I really write that? So it can emerge quickly should you make more noise. You can also adjust the AI when starting a new game, either its behavior to make it more aggressive or reactive, or you can adjust its physical attributes like its resistance to bullets. It can't resist the good old trick of reminding it of its past life before sending it back to the darkness it spawned from. The horror game equivalent of placing a large juicy steak above an anvil suspended in the air by rope. Tell me, what's scarier, this or a job application? So as I already spoiled when I talked about the beast in the cave, the twist of the bunker is that the beast was once our friend, Lambert, who we saved at the beginning of the game. If we throw the toy rabbit Lambert bought for his daughter at the beast during our final confrontation, he'll stop chasing us. There's also this note in Lambert's locker detailing his thoughts as he gives in to the bloodlust caused by losing his disposable vape. I'd say that's pretty definitive proof that it's him. What a nice family photo. Your father's not coming home, by the way. I killed him. All the monsters in Amnesia were human at one point, so that isn't really a shock. But I believe this is the first time in the series where they've demonstrated having a part of their humanity still intact. In the maintenance wing of the bunker lies the chapel. This is where the beast has made its lair, stacking it with bodies of the people it's killed. It makes me wonder if this is more than the horror stereotype of using Christian symbolism, which has been a trademark of horror movies for decades, and more of an example of the beast's humanity. Perhaps Lambert came here a lot when he was human, and that trait carries over after his transformation. Now, let's freshen up by talking about Amnesia Rebirth. The subtitle Rebirth has meaning in the narrative and the meta sense. The game has themes of motherhood, but also our protagonist is slowly turning into a ghoul, so there's a rebirth in the literal sense. From the meta perspective, it had been 9 years since the release of Machine for Pigs, and 10 years since Frictional Games worked on the series. Machine for Pigs was made by the Chinese Room, who made Everyone's Gone to the Rapture and Still Wakes the Deep. From what I've said in this video so far, it should come as no surprise that I think The Bunker is the true rebirth of the series, taking the ideas of the old games and bringing it into the new age. And I think the game series that caused this was Resident Evil. Us Resident Evil fans just keep on winning. Now, during the early 2010s, Resident Evil was in a bit of a tough spot. Resident Evil 6 was a critical and commercial disappointment. They made this multiplayer shooter called Umbrella Corp, which is one of the worst games Capcom have ever made.
This game is dead on arrival. But does Capcom give a shit? Nope. They released it anyway to make up for the time and resources they spent developing this shit turd when it should have been cancelled far before release.
That changed with Resident Evil 7. Not only is RE7 the best game in the series hands down, but it also redefined not just the series, but horror as a whole. Re7 takes inspiration from Amnesia by giving you an enemy that can't be killed, that being Jack Baker. The one big difference, the game gives you a gun to defend yourself. Jack can't be killed, but he can be incapacitated for a few minutes, after which he will pick himself back up and continue hunting you. I never really bought the idea that not being able to fight back made the game more scary, and to me Resident Evil finally proved that. The remake of Resident Evil 2 improved on this with the reimagining of Mr. X, an AI-driven monster that would hunt the player throughout various sections of the game. The AI for Mr. X was so good that there are loads of videos online breaking down how he works and what he can do. You can see where I'm going with this, can't you? As a Resident Evil fan, I can say that this is proof that Resident Evil is and will continue to be the best horror series ever made. But The Bunker doesn't get all of its changes from other games. Light and Dark have always been big things in this series. Light is your best friend. Dark Descent and Rebirth had these statuses called Sanity and Fear, respectively. Being in the dark would affect these statuses, causing you to get touched by the monster of the week. The Bunker, like Machine for Pigs, does away with these effects, but still emphasizes the importance of staying out of the dark. Letting the generator go out, as I've already mentioned, means that the beast is constantly hunting you. Did I mention that the beast is a one-shot kill? So yeah, as the sign next to the generator says, keep the generator running, that fucker hates light. Now it's time to talk about the best part of The Bunker, when the credits roll. After blowing away out of the bunker and killing the beast, we finally make it to the outside. Instead of telling you what happens, I'll just show you. As the saying goes, out of the frying pan and into the fire. This ending really got to me. I really like it. The events of The Bunker are so isolating that I genuinely forgot that it's set in World War I. Not during World War I, in World War I, one of the largest conflicts in human history. Henry spends the entire game trying to escape the bunker and evade the beast, and he finally succeeds just to land in the lap of something worse. Ignoring the Lovecraftian horrors and the eldritch abominations that are in this series, the reason why it's worse is because this is something that actually happened. We did this to ourselves. There's this one moment when you're exploring the maintenance wing of the bunker. You have to go into the pillbox of the bunker, and when you're in there you can actually see out into no man's land, and you see for the first time the outside world, and you get like that small little glimpse of freedom, and you feel hope for the first time, only for that to be shattered immediately when a stray bullet almost hits you. And yes, that's really all I've got to say. As usual, completely unscripted this next bit. Next video I'm thinking of doing something a little bit more fun, because I think we've done 2 videos now back to back that's just grimdark. So a little bit more light-hearted episode next time. But other than that, I hope everyone enjoyed. Like and subscribe once again if you're still here, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care now.